Hello folks, welcome to Land Tamer Stream. It's Monday night, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting the sense that 2019 is now in full swing. Seemed to be that way at work, seemed to be that way for me. Seems like everybody's back, and they have a lot of work to do. Well, that's the case for me too on the grind. Not that I've really left it at all after passing the written, but I have been not on such a regular schedule, but now we're back to regular schedule. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the theme of the day. Just to update you with a couple of things that are going on and preparing for the, and starting to prepare for the lab. Not ready really to do any labbing on stream yet. I am still working on a video series, and I haven't published it yet because, first of all, I figured out this morning while I was kind of getting ready, and you think about things, right, when you're getting ready for other things, taking a shower, whatever the case may be. And I thought, you know what, this really should be a series. So I've kind of started it. Well, I've changed the agenda up quite a bit in that regard. So I don't want to be just, well, I'm going to have, again, sort of a video series about how I passed. In other words, what materials did I use, what I recommend. But I thought I'd break it up into, areas that some people might be interested in. That way they could just watch what is interesting to them. For example, some people just want to know about, what did I use to prepare for evolving technologies section of the exam. That crosses multiple disciplines, right? Across CCDE, and any of the other CCIE programs. So that will be a separate video. And I think I figured out so far that it's going to be 5 parts. It might be 6. And then I'm also going to do a video, of course, with some feedback on the written exam itself. And on that, I've been thinking a lot. I don't want to be negative just to be negative. I actually want to provide some feedback to the process, since I really don't have a way to do so, and did not really have a way to do so, a practical way to do so during the exam. You can fill out a survey, but there's no space for comments at the end of the survey. You can also remark on individual questions, but doing that during the exam takes away from your time. And as you may already know, I finished with about 5 seconds left. So that wasn't an option either. So I'm going to have some feedback in the form of a video. But I want it to be constructive. I don't want to just be negative. Y'all don't care about hearing me rant to no good end. I actually want to. So I've been thinking about, well, all right, these are the problems that I see. What suggestions do I have, or what ideas can I come up with to actually offer as sort of a way to maybe address some of the problems that there are with the current program? So that's going to be coming up, and that's going to be a completely separate video apart from the series. Just kind of talking about my experience and providing feedback. Some of the difficulties that I see with the current, written exam. Anyway, I've been reviewing written fail notes, and this is from yesterday. I did not do really any labs today, but I have reviewed quite a bit of material. Most of it has been Cisco documentation, as well as network lessons. So this morning I spent a good bit of time, also besides Cisco documentation, Cisco live presentations. Yes, I've been going back to those, and you're going to find in my video about the evolving technologies 1.1 that I'm going to have some specific recommendations in regards to the Cisco live on-demand presentations. I think those are particularly useful in understanding a lot of what is in the scope of the evolving technologies, and I'm going to highlight some of that. So I actually went over some of that this morning. My schedule's changed, as I mentioned yesterday. Back on the grind and back on my regular, getting back to regular gym schedule. So prior to the exam, about a month out, maybe more, maybe 6 to 8 weeks out, I backed off from 5 days a week. Not all 5 days of the week. I would generally go 4 or 5 to 3. So I went from 5 to 3, and then about 2.5 weeks out, I just stopped going altogether. It was full on battle mode. Well, I'm back today to my regular schedule, which is I'm going to attempt to go 5 days a week like normal, but I'm going earlier. So I got up at 4:30 a.m. this morning and went to a 5 a.m. class. So that is kind of new for me, and it's a couple thing we're trying out that time slot. So um, I had more time to study in the morning prior to work, so I did a good bit of spent a good bit of time this morning with that. And since it is back to the grind, so work today was just super busy. I was actually on a call for most of the day, and I'm tanked. So again, I'll be doing a little bit more study tonight, trying to get through. And I decided today that I don't want to let this get too out of control on studying my written fail notes, because it can go off into the deep depending on the topic and what I'm reading about. I just want to make sure that I understand, what I was unsure about or what I probably missed. I want to make sure I understand that technology, I understand why I had to miss, so that I know that I have that in my head going forward. And I'm making a few flashcards out of that too. So I've been working on that, and I'll plan to keep doing that tonight. And then, of course, I'll be going to bed earlier to get up earlier. So that will kind of impact my schedule a little bit. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, the lab plan continues, written. I have unfinished business there, reviewing those notes. Set an arbitrary date and booked the lab. That did not happen today, but that's my goal, at least this week, is to sit down and look at, actually go through the booking, pay, and look at this, tentative dates, and go ahead and select a date in probably mid-December sometime, or late December. We'll see. And then once that is done, I'll resume the INE Advanced Technology Workbook. What I was saying, though, is about the written fail notes, is I want to put a cap on that. So I want to say, I'm tempted to say that by like Wednesday or Thursday, I should be done with that. But just in case, we're going to say, that if I'm still working on that this weekend, that I'm going to go ahead and close that chapter of this book, and we're going to go ahead and resume the INE Advanced Technology Workbook. So at some point this weekend, I will resume labbing in the technology workbook in the multicast section. So just to give you an idea of where I'm at and just kind of review myself, I'm going to open up the INE workbook here. And we'll see where we're at. So as you can see, I've done already, I already spent 7 months or so in this workbook. That was the stream for 6-7 months. So I did, of course, switching, IP routing, RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, BGP, redistribution, MPLS, IPsec VPN, and then multicast. And I got partway through that. So yeah, we got this is what's coming up. So we got multicast. Will probably be a good bit of this month, as well as IPv6. I'm looking forward to this a lot. But essentially, I'm getting to multicast, IPv6, QoS, security, system, IP services, and then we get into the foundation lab. So actually, this kind of corresponds to IPv6, of course, crosses, and when I think about the blueprint now, so IPv6 crosses into layer 3 routing. Basically, this is kind of the layer 3 routing part of the blueprint, and probably not really any layer 2, maybe a little bit of layer 2, but some layer 1 or network principles. But mainly that's going to be layer 3 routing. Then we get into QoS, which is infrastructure services. I'm looking forward to this. This is not going to be easy, but I think having done If I would have gotten to this prior to studying what I have for the written, I'd really be lost. But that should be good. And then security. This, of course, comes under the blueprint section of security, of course, and system management. And I think this is going to come under mostly infrastructure services. Then we have IP services. Okay, this is interesting. HSRP, basic NAT. Okay, static NAT. All right. So not like too deep here. We may be able to get through some of this relatively quickly. Then I'm looking forward to this. So this is going to be the advanced foundation labs, troubleshooting labs, full scale labs, mock labs. So, okay, I'm actually doing pretty well. I'm farther along, I guess, than I sort of thought I was. I had this in a chart, actually. So the old blueprint had all the labs listed. I'll probably look at that again a little bit tonight. So, yeah, so we're doing that. And then every day I'm doing some flashcards. And that is both from the necrocube.com deck and my own deck. So I'm just spending a few minutes and just trying to retain a lot of that information that I've prepared for the written. And I would just want to keep doing that every day, just make that a daily habit. And then add new cards as things, you know, as I hit something like, wow, that's going to be hard to remember. I need to remember that. I'm going to add a flashcard for it. And it's just going to go into the rotation. And then for trivia, that's really all I have, folks. Again, back on the grind. I hope your return to work after the holidays is going well. We got a full week this week. It's Monday. Hope you're having a great Monday. And I hope, you know, if you've made any resolutions in terms of, you know, this year, what you hope to accomplish in terms of certifications and or, you know, labbing and or just technology goals in general. I wish you the best. You know, let's make it a good year. 2019, 2020 will be here before we know it. And, you know, let's make the best. I did have an interesting little trivia question. This came out of a blueprint topic I was studying, but not really related to, you know, my field, but it just kind of led into some other cool things. And I posted on Instagram. I don't know if anyone has posted the answer yet. We'll take a look here. No one's posted. Well, some have earlier, but not the full answer. And a lot of mine typically have two. So here's the question. And this is the photo right here. So this is a PCAP. And what we have is ICMP protocol. It's something I just did in my lab here at home. There is something blocked out, and it's a length of 60, something blocked out with a request and reply. So this router's sending a request, this router's sending a reply. It is ICMP, and the main clue here is the type and the code. So it's type 13 and code 0. And my question was, what is this ICMP message type, and what can a network operator use it for? Well, the really cool thing, and the reason I wanted to bring it up on stream, is because not only did someone has identified this type in the comments, but someone came up with a usage that I had not thought of or did not know about. As a matter of fact, you know, I know I'm asking this question. I would not have known this answer without Googling it. You know, the day before, probably. But anyway, if you happen to know, feel free to post this in the comments here or in the chat. If you know it right off the top of your head. If not, let's think about, as an operator, so let me try to give a few clues here. One would be that the ICMP message is sent through an automatic process. I probably should have put that in the post. So let's assume this is not a manual process. In other words, this is not an ICMP message that is being generated due to manual intervention by an operator. Yes, a configuration change was made by an operator, but this is not me doing a ping, obviously. But this is another message type, but it is an automatic process on the router. So does that help at all? Think about what tools you have on a router to sort of determine the status of, you know, the network towards another router, right? And such a process to where you would want to send a query and get a response back from that router as to the status, right? That's basically what a ping is. You know, are you there? Yes, I am here. And a general ping will have, you know, latency information there as well, right? Well, in this case, the answer is if you do a Google search for type 13, there is an identifier here, which is interesting. So we can tell right away, first of all, that this is not a normal, we have a sequence number here, right? I'm not sure what BE and LE stand for here. In fact, let's go ahead and do a quick search. I searched this earlier. So we did ICMP type 13. And yeah, let's look at the IANA assigned numbers. So echo reply, we're used to seeing unassigned. Destination unreachable, we've seen that before. Source quench is deprecated. But generally that means that the remote has the buffer is full on the remote is what that would mean. Redirect, that can be a very useful message, right? If you're doing ICMP redirects. Unassigned, we have an echo. We're used to that, right? There are types and then there are subtypes. Generally, I think we see often echo and then 0. Yeah, we have a type and then a code, right? And this, of course, is 0. There's no code associated with it. We have type 9, which is a router advertisement. That's interesting. I didn't know that there was a router advertisement for IPv4, or I don't remember seeing that, I guess. Router selection, time exceeded. And this is when the TTL specifically, or fragment reassembly time. I'm not sure what that is, but time exceeded is good to know because this actually, the TTL field had a different, the designers of ICMP and IP had a different idea for what this type 11 would be used. It did have more of a time-based check for determining whether a packet was looped or timed out in the network. But yeah, instead they just use a hop-by-hop TTL decrement, right? But it used to be intended to track time. Parameter problem, not sure what that is, but timestamp. So here it is. Type 13 is a timestamp. There's no code with a reply. So this is interesting, and it is still a valid. Obviously, it's not deprecated, and it can still be used in your network. Of course, there are a lot of others. And this was covered really well in some of the books that I read in the beginning of my studies. DeBizzle, Q, I want to say I'm so proud of you, bro. Way to bring in the new year. Thank you, DeBizzle. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for your support here in the stream and the chats and being an encouragement to me. And I wish you the best too, my friend. Hope you have a great kickoff to 2019. And thank you very much. Yeah, there are a lot of good, cool, interesting ICMP messages here. But this one, now there have been, I did some research on this today. There have been some security alerts about the use of timestamp, but I think there are security recommendations about a lot of the ICMP messages, and that's why you see a lot at the network edge that oftentimes ICMP is blocked through firewall. But there is still a use for time exceeded, and one that I knew about and that reason I was asking, and that is because of the IP-SLA, one of the IP-SLA functions. And that is the, as we know, there are multiple ICMP functions, right? This one is icmp-jitter. So the Bizzle, man, I'm working on JNCIA. Unfortunately, I had to put Cisco on the back burner. I'm in a Juniper rollout at the moment. Well, you know, that's cool, the Bizzle, because first of all, I've heard a lot of good things about the Juniper certs. And as a matter of fact, I've used some of the Juniper material to prepare for the written in regards to like the MPLS information. So yeah, that's certainly understandable, but you're doing a great thing. Especially, you know, what's really helpful is to study, to be studying about gear while you're deploying it. Man, there's nothing better than that, because not only you're learning some of the fundamentals, but you're also getting to use it. And the cert, yes, the Bizzle, yeah, the certs are valuable. They are very valuable. I remember a time, not at this employer, but a previous employer, where they felt that they were, you know, sort of a small to medium size, and they felt that in a couple of deals that Cisco had not really been fair. So they had started to partner more with Juniper for some of the sales, and they kind of switched. They said, you know, we want you all to start learning Juniper certifications instead of Cisco certifications. So they didn't say we could not continue with a Cisco track, but they strongly encouraged us to start learning Juniper. I got to say, Juniper Harbor is not that great. That is just my experience so far. Really? Well, what I've heard about Juniper, and I know very little about it, just from what I've heard from listening to like packet pushers and things like that, is that Juniper has a strong presence, and I've seen a lot of it myself in service provider networks. You don't know if it's code or what, but stupid bugs. That's a pain. Yeah, I've heard a lot about the Juniper's really strong in the service provider. And the reason they made so many gains is because of their price and because of their speed. Like, they seem to beat out Cisco on a lot of. Now, this may not be true today, but in the past, a number of service provider folks had told me that in testing, you know, in some of the big service provider switching, that Juniper, so they had started to go towards Juniper. But I've seen Juniper over the years try to become a full shop, like, you know, access switches and things like that. So, and yes, true, Juniper is giving good deals. I've heard that too. And who wouldn't? You know, when you're trying to compete against Cisco, a lot of people think that Cisco is overpriced. I don't want to get into all, you know, I'm not a salesperson. I don't buy Cisco products myself, but I do know that they're expensive, especially the retail price, which, you know, not everyone pays. But yeah, I know Juniper has gone into, they've done a lot of, they're probably growing into other markets like enterprise, small, medium. I'm putting in equipment for the Air Force, and they basically went with the cheapest. Yeah, it's biting them in the butt now. Years ago, I interviewed at a state job, not this state or the previous state, but another state. And they said that was one of the biggest issues for them, was the fact that due to regulations, they were required to accept, you know, the absolute lowest cost bidder through the bidding process. A lot of red tape, you know, very legalized process. So that can happen sometimes. But yeah, hey, you're gonna learn, so that's gonna be great, man, and good luck on that. It will be valuable. I think whatever you learn with Juniper in terms of the protocols, whether it's switching or routing, that's gonna be good for you in your career no matter what. Does seem like Juniper plays well with Cisco, so sad. That's, you know, that's valuable though. I've had issues in the past with I learned a lot about switching when I had to interoperate with non-Cisco switches. You get used to doing things a certain way with Cisco's, you know, spanning tree and PBST plus, And we have to start integrating with other vendors' equipment. I had to do it with HP. I had to integrate some solutions with IBM, which they had purchased another vendor for their switching. And I found some really interesting things with trunks. And that's when you really learn a lot about when you have to interoperate different vendors' equipment. It's not always ideal, like might be not how you would want to design or, spec out the network. But when you're the operator, the engineer, or the implementer, you're going to learn a lot. And that's going to be extremely valuable. So that's cool, man. Good stuff. So this ICMP message, someone answered, Arturo Baldo, had to Google it. That's a timestamp request. I would use it to check if the remote host is syncing its time successfully with NTP. I guess you could use it for that. This says 100%. You definitely have to go back and learn most things to make it work in a multi-vendor. Yes, very true. Very true. So this I can see. If you needed to know, let's say you did not have access to an upstream device and they were not blocking ICMP timestamp requests, you should be, you could assume that that device was syncing with NTP if you were, and their timestamp reply was close to yours within a certain threshold. Yes, that could be a use as an operator, I guess. Then we had another feedback here. Olan and Kate. It could also help in timing for IPsec tunnels. Now, this could be very useful. If you're having a keying issue, you could use that to remotely determine the clock on the device. Just another idea thought. That's a great thought. Of course, the packet would have to, well, yeah, it would depend, right? Because a lot of tunnel concentrators or VPN concentrators are firewalls, and they may not allow that. But if they do, or if the tunnel is up enough to where you are allowed to send some ICMP traffic to it, oftentimes they will from the other tunnel, on a site-to-site tunnel, for example. So that could be a use, and that's a very creative use. This, however, it could be for icmp-jitter. So an advantage to icmp-jitter, for example, is you want to see what kind of jitter, of course, is defined as inter-packet latency, the latency between two packets over a period of time. And icmp-jitter would be real useful if, for example, you wanted to know both, essentially you're wanting to know with that timestamp information, you're going to be able to more accurately determine the jitter on the link. So it is useful for that. And ICMP might be, now UDP jitter is much more useful. As a matter of fact, IPSLA UDP jitter could be used, for example, to determine your MOS score, or the adequacy of a link for voice traffic or even video traffic. But maybe you cannot run an IPSLA responder on the other end. And in this case, this doesn't even have to be another Cisco device. As long as the device supports ICMP packets, and in particular, ICMP timestamp and replies, then you should be able to determine the jitter between you and that device. So that could be very useful. You could set thresholds, and if the jitter on the link is bad, then maybe you would want to take a certain action, right? So that is the purpose of this message, or what could be used, one use of it on a Cisco iOS router. Mentor, sub buddy, just want to say hi and take a little break and watch your stream. TX gonna be chilly once I arrive Thursday, 52 and 49 for the highs, lol. So mentors, Friday's a day, right? So we have 4 days left. Thank you so much for hanging out. such good luck on, your upcoming lab attempt. And I don't know when you're traveling, where are you taking it, mentors? Are you still able to take it in, yeah, DeBizzle, he's taking a CCIE routing and switching lab exam Friday, as I understand. Texas. Okay, you said it right here. I thought you were saying transmit. Texas. Yeah, gonna be chilly once I arrive Thursday. Okay. So you're gonna have 52 and 49 for the highest. Oh yeah, this is gonna be chilly. Oh man. Oh man. Well, you're gonna have to tell me. Scope it out for me there, mentors. What's a good hotel to stay at? All that good kind of stuff. So, man, I can't wait. Can't wait to hear how things went and to send you the good bits out during your exam. Knock it out and come back and be our mentors. That's right. Well, thanks so much, folks. That is going to wrap it up. No meat chunks for today. Had no time really to look at social media too much. And there wasn't a lot, really, from what I did see. But that trickle is going to change as people get back to work, get back to their blogging, and talking to vendors, etc. Thanks so much for hanging out. Good luck to you, mentors, in your studies. Appreciate you taking even just a little time to hang out in the chat. Okay, go ahead, DeBizzle. Quick question. Sure, shoot. What you got? We'll save that. What's your first lab attempt? Have a date set. This week I plan to pay for the exam and book it for December. As long as it's not too, I want to read the reschedule policy because I want to make sure it's going to be relatively easy. Maybe I want to move it up. Or maybe, want to just, something comes up, want to be able to push it out. As long as it's as easy to reschedule as a written, which I had to do a number of times, that would be great. But yeah, probably December tentatively. DeBizzle, I'm sure you put out a video on the labbing. What is your plan on that? Are you starting over? Are you restarting INE? You're going to try and pick up where you left off. Good question, DeBizzle. Yes, I am going to try to pick up where I left off. So on INE, that's going to leave me at multicast. I was halfway through multicast. I have not decided yet if I'm going to start multicast over or not. I probably will because I only got through the initial. Yeah. I may go, I don't know. These are pretty simple, but this is, yeah, auto RP is going to be good. So I will probably be doing, I may at least read through this, but we'll definitely by the weekend, we will start labbing again. So appreciate you asking that, DeBizzle. Mentors, yeah, no problem on reschedule. I had to reschedule once already. Okay, good deal. Good to know. I had, you don't know until you look at it and try, right? Or read the fine print. Thanks so much, folks. Have a great Monday night, and we shall see you tomorrow here in the Land Tamer stream.